Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Carlos Phoenix with the Indie Lounge on theloungemagazine.com. And today I have guests, Chad and Matt. How are you guys? It's been a while, long time no see. And we are going to begin our show pretty quick because we haven't talked in a while and haven't had a show up and running in a while. We're just going to hit a movie and talk about some things and just kind of hopefully just stick around and enjoy the show. All right. So we are going to talk about a movie that we've all seen, and that's Limitless. And what'd you think of the movie?
Actually, it was a great movie. I enjoyed the movie. I mean, Matt and I picked out some plot holes in it last night on the way into work or whatever. But other than that, I mean, it was a good movie. Like I said.
Yeah, it was very entertaining. Very entertaining.
So what? Well, you know what? Let's start off just by showing off the trailer. Is that cool?
Yes.
And that way we kind of nitpick it at it. That's what I get for taking too much stuff. All right. And it's still downloading, but let's take a look.
Nothing ever happened.
Yeah, as always, I mess it up.
See that guy? That's me. My excuse for looking like this? I'm a writer.
Eddie, maybe it's time to let the writing go.
But just in case you think nothing ever happened to me.
Eddie Mora!
Hey! Tell me about this book. Well, how much have you written of it?
Not one word.
Well, I suppose I can help you with that.
You know how they say that we can only access 20% of our brain? This lets you access all of it. They've had clinical trials and it's FDA approved.
All right, just out of curiosity, and that's all. I was blind, but now I see.
A tablet a day, and I was limitless. I now had cultural appetites.
Since when do you speak Italian?
I finished my book in 4 days. I'd like to renegotiate my advance.
Math became useful.
From 12,000 to 2.3 million in 10 days.
I'm baffled by this guy. So, Eddie Mora, you do know you're a freak. What's your secret?
Medication.
Your powers are a gift from God or whoever the hell wrote your life script. I'll open up a line of credit for you. You'll be wanting a few toys.
How many of us ever know what it is to become the perfect version of ourselves?
What's the asking price?
12.5.
I'll take it.
Everything I have, I want to share with you.
What you doing, hon? You think somebody's watching?
All right. So I'm lowering it because YouTube has a funny way of saying, hey, you're copying information and shame on you, and then they'll knock us off. So basically what we're looking at is the trailer of Limitless. And what's impressive about this movie is, for me, how well they did it. I think they did a great job of really getting into what the potential is if you were to take this magical pill that gives you access to your whole freaking brain. And so that being said, let's talk about what we liked, disliked, or whatever it was that we enjoyed about the movie.
Well, we usually have a difference of opinion. I was kind of interested more in what you thought about the movie. What exactly piqued your interest in it before we say anything?
Okay. Well, for me, I really enjoyed the movie. I liked that it made sense to me. I liked that I can kind of see, if someone wants to take this pill, that this is probably about the path that it would go in. That, you know, obviously you can't tell if it's an accurate depiction of something, but I think they did a good method of saying, wow, this visual shows that he's totally clear in every thought that he's thinking. And I think a visual interpretation of just the mind just kicking in and just computating and doing all sorts of crazy thoughts that normally we're just too fuzzy-minded to even consider and go deep into without it just being a headache and an annoyance. So that's what I thought.
That sounds about right.
Now your speaker's a little high.
All right. So, how's that?
That's better.
I mean, from the standpoint of it being, a film, entertaining, it was. But there was a point where, when we were talking about the film to ourselves, that we started picking certain things out. If this pill gave you X amount of capabilities to use, your full brain or whatever, there were a whole lot of holes in the film. I mean, a lot of stuff that went on, that took place, some of the troubles he went through really didn't make sense. If he was capable of using 100% of his brain, he should have seen a lot of this stuff coming.
Like what?
Like the situation with the Russian loan shark. Granted, remember the loan
hold on
shark.
now. Hold on. So what you're saying is that he should have been able to outsmart the guy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He should have seen he should have seen everything that was coming before. I mean, it's quite out. You don't have to use 100% of your brain to figure out you're in trouble now. All right. What the main thing that got him in trouble was he forgot to give him his money.
Yeah.
If you use 100% of your brain, how did you get to give him the money?
Now, of course, what you're doing is you're taking the, all right, the drug dealer who sold him the pill. Now, if you've watched this movie, you'll know what we're talking about. There's a drug dealer that sold him the pill at the very beginning. Didn't even sell it. He gave the first pill to him for free. Yeah. Now, of course, as a drug dealer, you're just going to oversell. You're going to say it's 100% of your brain. Technically, hold on. He lied about everything. It was FDA approved, not. It was legitimate, not. It'll tap into 100% of your brain, not.
No, that wasn't the issue that we were talking about, though.
Well, no, you're saying that if you're able to access 100% of your brain, you should be able to remember blank. Now, technically, from my interpretation of the movie, he didn't reach 100% till the very end, where he was able to predict, let's say, the car wreck.
I guess, but that was with him.
And that's after he fixed it and cleaned up the medicine.
Right.
So initially, it's a narcotic that has this extra capability of going, an extra mile. Technically, he wasn't getting the 100% value of it yet. And then, of course, it had its side effects. But go ahead.
Okay, I think what you were referring to the Russian, the Russian he had to borrow the money from to actually put into the stocks to make the funds he had to make more moves.
Right.
The Russian that became a problem later on in the movie.
Right.
Well, let me backtrack to the beginning, to where his brother-in-law, who was the drug dealer, gave him the pill.
Ex-brother-in-law.
He went back. He ran the errand for him. Remember, he went back to get some more pills or whatever, because that first one he got that rush or whatever. He saw what his capabilities was and what he could do with it. He went back to go to get more. His brother sent him on an errand. He comes back. His brother's dead. Now from there, okay, he finds the pills. From there, he just does, it's like 160 forward into wherever he wanted to go, like his goals as far as wanting to succeed and get ahead. But he's not keeping in mind that along with what he's got now, there's going to be a whole bunch of problems. And I'm just, like I said, as Chad and I were talking to, putting myself in his shoes, my first thing is like, my brother-in-law is dead. So this is serious. You know what I mean? I need to step back. I got these pills. I know what I'm capable of and what I can do. Let me slow up for a minute and just go through the steps as far as exactly what's what as far as these pills are involved. Are there side effects? What's the downside of having a super brain and being able to outthink and think 7 steps ahead of the next person? There's the upside and then there's the downside. I'm being cautious and
okay.
Always been told by my father, never let your right hand know what your left hand is doing.
Let me be the defender of the movie now. All right. Now I agree with just so you know, I do agree with you in some of what you're saying, but part of what the pill was doing was removing any fear. So in doing so, all that stuff that you're talking about, it doesn't make you wiser. It just means you're using your brain to do what you want to do, and boom, you're just doing it. You're not holding back. You're not allowing fear to stop you or slow you down. You just go for it, go for the gun, and run. Okay. And that's what it was doing. And in part of the movie, they mentioned that that's what it does. There's no fear. You focus, and then you're pinpointing at that direction, and it just goes.
Okay, question for you then. Right? Why didn't he, when he first realized capabilities with these pills, knowing that he had X amount of pills, why didn't he immediately use the full capacity of his brain to re-engineer it at the beginning of the movie, where he wouldn't have to run into a situation where, I ran out of pills, I'm caught up in this, I'm caught up in that. Wouldn't that be your first goal?
All right, I think you're confusing the ability to use your entire brain with being God.
That has nothing to do with using that. Yeah, exactly. That is common sense.
That's the first thing I thought about.
You know what's funny? Hold on. So this is the genie effect. Hold on. Do you know what the genie effect is?
Huh?
Do you know what the genie effect is?
The genie effect?
Yes.
No.
All right. So you find the lamp. You rub the lamp. You have the genie pop out, and he's like, okay, I grant you 3 wishes. And you're like, oh. All right, so my first wish is this, my second wish is that, but my third wish is that I have a whole million other wishes. Right? I mean, do you understand the analogy?
He wasn't faced with that problem though. If you're gonna relate it to that, he had, just a wild guess here, maybe about 300 to 400 wishes. Okay, but those wishes were going to run out. All right. Granted,
well, no, the thing is, I mean, wait, hold on. I mean, at some point, it did occur to him, and he did go ahead and do it.
Well,
but hold on. First of all, he says
weapons in his face.
Wait, hold on. In the movie, he says that he has a plan, and he goes for it. Now, you're saying, well, the first thing he should have done is gotten these pills done, right? That's what you said.
Yeah. That's the first thing I thought about.
Okay, hold on. Hold on. He thought about that. That was the plan. Because he also knew that for him to do that, he needed the money to make that happen.
All right. Granted,
so what did he do? He went to get the money. And what was the purpose of the money? To be able to make more of these pills. So he thought about what you said. He planned it so that he can do it.
But let's talk about how he put himself into the hole by the way he went about executing it, though.
Yeah.
All right. If you're capable of doing this, and there's a point in the movie where he says that I'm taking 2 pills a day now. It shortens the learning curve. Correct. That was right before he goes to the pharmacy company and asks them, "Can you reproduce these pills, or whatever?"
Right. Now, because he couldn't because how he was a broke rider before all this. He wasn't getting approved for loans. He was not able to borrow money. The only way he was able to get the money is going to the loan shark.
All right. Wait. You skipping. All right. We're not talking about the loan shark right now.
All right.
What I'm saying is, all right. If you're saying that he needed X amount of the money to go about to facilitate him creating new pills, if you're taking X amount of pills per day and it's boosting your learning curve, right? And there's a mental high going on where each conquest brings another high. You want to keep striving to the next stage, the next stage, the next stage. Why not do it yourself? You had plenty of pills.
So you're saying he should become a scientist and cure cancer to make the pills?
He's like you said, he's still human. He's still human, so he has his greed, some of his greed still there. I understand that, but wouldn't you be? He's thinking about himself throughout the whole movie. Why aren't you thinking about how can I prolong this and keep it going on? Why do I want to get other individuals involved into the situation, not knowing what can happen, who can expose me or sell it to someone else? I do it myself. Why involve other people?
All right. I know what you're saying, but you're expecting him through this pill process to become a chemical biologist. Is that what you're saying?
What happened?
That has nothing to do really with the pills. It just has to do with like common sense. If you see his
wait, you're expecting him to become an engineer?
He saw his brother dead. To me, that's like a clear indication. I'm in over my head right here.
There's a problem.
Yeah, there's a problem right here.
Well, it depends on how he looked at it. So, for example, his brother-in-law had a history of being a drug dealer. He doesn't know that the reason he got killed was because of these particular pills.
Yes, he did.
You think so?
Yes, he did. He said so.
All
He was like, what were they looking? He was like, they trashed the place. What were they looking for? He was like, they must have been looking for the pills.
That's true. So what are you saying?
He was stupid. As smart as he was stupid. All right? He was just plain stupid.
Oh, okay. Here's an example. So, one of the biggest geniuses in the world, Albert Einstein.
You can't.
Hold on.
We had because we kind of had this. I know where you're going, but we kind of had this conversation already. All right.
Okay. Well, hold on. Let's throw this in here though. So here's this genius, right? He can think.
Before you say it, I want you to consider this though, right?
He calculated black holes. I mean, all right. So here he's this super smart guy, right? He probably could have cured cancer somehow, and he invents a method to splitting an atom, knowing what the potential possibilities are. And then Oppenheimer says, "Okay, you know what? I'll do it."
You can't compare Albert Einstein and him though.
Well, you're right.
We're talking about two different things.
Yeah, but you're talking about how the mental brain should have been able to see the trouble ahead of itself and then try to outmaneuver the trouble. Albert Einstein should have been able to see the trouble and outmaneuver that trouble too. But no, he opened his big mouth and we have nuclear weapons now.
All right, but you're talking about genius. All right, we're talking about a fictional world, granted, and then you're talking about the real world with real scientists. What scientists do you know that's capable of using 100% of their brain? That's a whole new type of genius. It's different.
But you're missing the human factor. Just because someone somebody can access.
The one that screwed up.
Hold on. Just because someone has the ability of accessing 100% of their brain doesn't necessarily make them able to know everything in the world. Yes, he's able to learn languages really fast, and yes, he's able to learn certain things very fast. He can probably even gain an understanding of the chemical process of the pill. But if he's not built to be a scientist, maybe he's just not built to be a scientist regardless.
All right, fine. All right. You want to leave it at that? That's perfect. That's the route you want to go.
I don't know. I mean, not everybody can be a piano player.
Everybody is born with self-preservation in mind. All right. Show me the points, the key points in the movie where self-preservation was there. Like, ding, hello, stupid. I shouldn't be doing this. This point. Matter of fact, he did it two times. He did it two times. And then the other times when it really should have counted, he sat there and let whatever happen to him, like an idiot. The first time was when he went in to go get those pills. He seen what happened to his brother. He was scared. Found the pills. Any means necessary, tried to hide him away from the police and get out of there. All right.
All right.
One time. The second time was with the Russian. It was with he stated it himself, and that was when he was on the pill. He stated it himself. He's like, all right, you're not the type person that I want to disappoint. Period. He put it out there. All right. So somewhere in your mind, you're knowing this is dangerous. What I'm doing. Why the hell didn't the rest of his actions follow through with that train of thought?
Because he was able to take the risk without fear.
He was on the pill when he took the risk of getting the money.
The pill removes fear.
He knew. He sat there and knew. He explained while he was on the pill. He explained to the guy that.
Look, I understand he may acknowledge the fear, but he doesn't feel the fear. It's kind of like a daredevil or a guy who just knows.
Several times in that movie.
Well, he felt the results of not having the fear.
And
like for example, I don't like the fact that they didn't explain who and why the girl was killed.
Yeah, we didn't like that either.
That was kind of like weird. It just was thrown in there, and in the end, he outsmarted it, and that just made no sense to me. It's like, well, then why even keep it in the movie? But I don't know.
How about the start of where the pill came from? That was another conversation we got into.
It was a drug that was being tested. It was a drug that was being tested by a pharmaceutical company, which in the end, what's his name bought.
He didn't know that. In the beginning, he didn't know that. My thing was, wow, this pill that this guy gave me is powerful.
That's
an extremely powerful thing. This is deep. You know, I gotta research this. I gotta know where this came from.
they're doing clinical trials testing this drug, and you're trying to tell me that nobody who's testing it, seeing the effects of this thing, is not thinking, hey, all right, we can really go somewhere with this if I just, you know, like, hello.
Well, it wasn't approved yet.
Yeah, but still, there's the fact, Carlos. There's the fact of him experiencing. I'm like, wow, and then I would have to step back and like, you know what? I want to do a lot of things, but I just seen my brother-in-law murdered, and it's over this pill. This is serious. I need to step back and play chess, basically. You know what I mean? You gotta
right.
know.
Well, here's where we have to step into the. And I hate doing this. Here's where I have to step in and say, it's just a movie. But you know, I mean, so let's step back for a second and say, okay, if he was to step back and all that type of stuff, like you're saying, which could be a realistic reaction and response, it would burn out the movie and we'd be bored to death. Hence, not go to the movie. Hence, they don't make money and so on. So, as a writer writing this movie and trying to put these things together, how do you make the story flow? So, as much as we can protest and say, well, the writer didn't write it like if it was real life, you know, then we're like,
look, don't get us wrong. We enjoyed the movie. It was just certain things that happened in there.
I agree with you.
We do understand it's a movie. You know, story has to carry over. Granted,
like I love the ending, for example, the fact that he not only was able to outsmart our friend Robert De Niro here, you know, in such a way that even to the end of the movie, I was like, oh damn, man, he got cornered. And the way he was able to slip and throw a scene where he's predicting a car wreck, and ladies and gentlemen, you just have to see this ending. I thought it was fantastic in terms of the twist, and it's not a twist in the story. It was just a nice completion of the story that was like, you think it, because lately movies has followed the line of, well, let's not give them a happy ending, just to kind of mess up what we're used to for the past 50 years of movies. He was able to turn it, and we're following the line of, oh, this is going to be a bad ending. I wonder how it's going to turn out. To maybe it just doesn't have a real good ending. And then they switched it and said, you know what, happy ending, bam. And I like that.
Yeah.
Don't get us wrong. Like I said, the movie is good. I'm just looking at it from a realistic standpoint, which is unfair. I know. Right, it was just some things there that kind of disturbed me. It's an excellent movie. It's worth a watch. I plan on watching it several more times. It was enjoyable. It's just certain things was just a little, you know, irritating. That's all.
No, what it is. I think what it is Chad and I are just tired of the cliche. You know what I mean? It's like when is there gonna be a movie when it at least touches on somebody that has a little bit of intelligence and uses that. I think that's it. Like you said, it doesn't have to be drawn out and boring, but like the scene where the Russian grabs the pill from him and swallows it. You know, that could have been a perfect opportunity. Like, you know what? This dangerous guy just swallowed an intelligence pill, and I got to get rid of him. You know what I mean?
Things to do. Kill Russian. He's got to go.
He's got to go.
If anybody,
because he's not going to.
Out of him killing a woman and killing a Russian, why go for the woman? The Russian should be your test right there if you want to see if you can get away with murder. All right.
Yeah, you know, well, see, that's the thing. I mean, I don't know if he actually killed her. I mean, I don't know what happened there.
The guy that was after the pills. The other guy that was chasing him and his girlfriend, it was that dude because he was following him. Look, when he left the
But why kill her?
I don't know. Maybe he thought she had the pills or something. He was kind of off his rock.
That's what throws me off.
Out of curiosity, right?
Mm-hmm.
Would you be so in the public eye if you had that capability?
Well, the removal of the fear, probably.
I don't know. I really
All
don't
right.
know. There's
All right.
removal of fear, and then it's just plain stupidity to me. All right,
Well,
that's just the way
just
it
because you
works.
hold on, just because you access your whole brain doesn't mean you're not stupid.
That is true. That is true. Because there's
I
a difference between intelligence and wisdom. You know
Well,
what I mean?
sure,
no,
sure.
no, we shouldn't even brought up with that's not little kids know this stuff. All right, look, like
Thomas.
All right. Well, let's not kill a dead horse.
alleys, you know what I mean? In the middle of the night, you just don't. All right,
Looking through your wallet with a gold roller.
now. If he processed all the information with the kung fu flicks and everything,
Yeah,
right?
basically.
All the other movies should have watched and said, "Hey, this isn't a good idea." Okay? What was the issue there? But anyway, all right, moving on.
Let's go to the next story. All right. So, what is the next story, guys?
Oh,
My boy Grenita.
All right. I
Captain
want to hit that
Placereiser.
This is my art.
Right?
one. Okay.
I never drew it, and I never will.
So let's start off with this story. Go ahead.
Okay, man. Talk about your man right there.
Well, there's been an uproar in the comic community about an artist, a comic artist,
No. Yeah. All right, there we go.
claimed to be comic artist, a fraudulent person who's been claiming to taking credit for artwork and published work.
Dirty and deceitful.
Yeah. In the comic industry, and it's been going on for quite some time. According to the blogs, over 15 years.
That's
15
crazy.
years this guy's been doing it, and he's been well known. The comic community is a small one, and the artists and writers and editors and so forth, they all know each other, and he's been a pariah.
Basically what he's been doing for 15 years is copying other artists' work by use of a light box, projector, whatever. And when we say copy, we mean copy, all right? Directly
Exactly.
copy. He takes the work to comic book conventions and sells the work as his own, while the other artists are there at the comic book convention. 15 years this man has been getting away with this. This past weekend, for we understand, yes, please note the lines, how perfect they are and match to one another. Granted, there are a few changes in there.
Yeah. So this is a piece. Apparently, Al Rio did the one on the left, and Rob Granito, who is the name of this artist, acclaimed artist, is on the right. So basically, you can tell it's a complete 100% fabrication of art, a copy of the one on the left, and to try and make it original, because the weird thing about copyright law, your speaker's a little loud. The weird thing about copyright law, ladies and gentlemen, is that if you take, let's say, one of my paintings and draw a mustache on it, to some extent you have some rights to it. But what you're supposed to be able to do is at least give claim, and I just lost the guys, but I'm trying to bring back, is at least give claim to the original artist that did it, and not just say, well, this is completely original work. And let me bring them back into the conversation. So that's kind of what's been going on, is that he's claiming that he is a complete original artist and that he is not copying people's work. On occasion, he'll say that it was influenced by an artist, but not to the extent that he should be, where he's just blatantly just lying through his teeth.
Lying about his career, who he's worked with.
Yeah.
Now, I don't have your video.
We don't have yours either.
Yeah, we seem to be stuck because I cannot seem to bring up video. So let me close Skype and see what happened here. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, once again, tech issues. But I will continue with this conversation. And we'll make this episode continue. All right. So basically the way I got into this story is I have a buddy of mine that I went to high school with, and his name is Buzz Aldrin. And Buzz is on my Facebook, and what he did was discover this gentleman and find out that he's been using some of Buzz's artwork. And then the more he found out about things, the deeper the story got. And eventually somebody created a Facebook page, which you can visit and join. I'm sure they'll have tons of fun with this. And it's called Robert Granito, Granito, is a fraud. And you'll be able to follow tons of stories of things that he's been copying. There's even videos of artists approaching him. There's people who have now been turning into spies. And basically what he's doing, he's going to conventions all over the United States, claiming to be an original artist, but it doesn't go just that far. He goes further. Basically, he says that he has worked for Marvel and DC and the post office, I believe, that he's worked for MTV,
Warner Brothers,
VH1, MTV, and he goes on and on and on. His
so
way.
he claimed to work for the Olympics. He's claimed to done work for the Olympics, for the United States. Was it the military?
Yeah. Cause we have no video on you, sir.
Yeah, okay, I got you. But so he's top level. He's really pissed off a lot of people in the industry. None of the companies he says he's worked for are willing to say anything other than they don't know who he is. So let's see if I can bring out another piece of his copy. And here we go. So he's claiming that he also worked on some cell animation for some cartoons. It just goes on, and it's, like I said, it's pretty much pissed off the entire industry, and it's also made comic book artists acknowledge that he's probably not the only one. There seems to be a lot of other artists, or quote unquote artists, who just go out and do duplicates of people's work. They sell it. Now he's selling these pieces for like $60 a drawing. I mean, that's insane. He's profiting off of other people's work.
Highest one is $500.
Oh, jeez. He's done. I've worked for the comic book industry maybe like 20 years ago, and I can tell you it's a very difficult industry to go into. It takes a lot of talent.
He got it pretty easy.
Yeah, well, he didn't. He never got in. It takes a lot of talent. It takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of dedication and consistency to constantly go to the comic book companies and show your latest works and show that you've improved. And it's a very hard industry to get into. I mean, because there's not a million different comic books. There's Batman, there's Superman, there's a lot of known characters that people admire.
Okay, hold on. Before you go any further, with that being said, about your own personal history and having a friend whose work that he copied, how do you feel? What stand do you take on this?
Well, okay. My personal stand is, I understand copyright law is pretty awkward. For example, Disney has been able to manipulate copyright law to benefit them. All right. But in terms of, let's say, portraits and comic book art in general, when I was a kid, I used to copy comic books. That's how it was my passion. I got into comics and I used to draw them and trace them, but I never said it was my artwork. Yeah, it's just how I got into it. It's just how I got into the passion of drawing. It was after that influence of being able to copy and see the muscles and all that stuff that I ended up going to art school. And then from art school, I learned how to do my own stuff, my own original work, and how to photograph my own models and just create my own original art.
And that's usually a natural progression of any artist.
Right. I mean, it's you know, a piano player. A piano player learns to play Mozart and other musicians' work, and then if they get talented enough, they start doing their own original work and get recognized for that. I mean, I get being able to use artwork that exists as an influence, but to profit and make money off of somebody else's hard work and claim it as your own, that's insane. That's it's unfair. It's just not right, and he just has no business doing it. But the fact that he's gotten away with it for 12 or 15 years, as you said, it kind of makes me wonder, how did nobody notice this?
They did notice.
Well, some of them might have noticed, but nobody said anything. Nobody stopped him.
Yeah, because the guy, one of the blogs that we were reading, the guy said that he hung out with him for like 10 years. And he said at all the comic conventions and different events, artists were pulling him to the side and saying that this guy is a fraud. You don't know who this guy is. And because Rob Granito was so nice to this individual and has given him free artwork and so forth, he defended him. You know, so he said for years there were people that knew, like they would go to functions and artists would get up, people would get up and leave because Granito was there. And they didn't want to have nothing to do with him being around. So, you know, I guess, you know, them just, I guess, viewing him as a hanger-on or so forth, you know, that's the view that they took. But to me, it would seem to me like they should have took further action, especially if they were seeing their artwork in this guy's possession and him at comic book convention. He has a table and he's selling this work and profiting from it. You know what I mean?
And being an artist, that's your bread and butter. I mean, for those artists out there that have families, that's food being taken off the table of your families. It should have been stopped a long time ago.
I agree.
But it finally happened. And with that being said, he's not allowed. So as it's being posted, he's not allowed to go on any more comic book conventions. They're trying to ban him from any future comic book conventions. Period.
Well, I'm going to show a video of someone who took an iPhone and this past weekend's comic book convention at MegaCon, and they kind of sneakily videotaped his portfolio that he has on his table. And if you've been to a convention, an artist has a small table and usually lays out his artwork, both front and back, and people can flip through it. And then if they want to buy something, he offers them a price. So
before you do that, if I could just ask a favor of you, so the audience has an idea of exactly what we're talking about. If you have some of his personal work that he's actually done to show his skills versus the work that he's been selling at these comic book conventions, that'll be a good comparison.
Okay, so what I'll do is I'll show the video first, and then I'll try and look up some of his stuff.
It's like, get me like all kinds of, you know, what are we like? I come here to have fun. Yeah, exactly. Oh, you got reviews for your record. They talk shit on the internet, they're not going to do it. They had them there and they're doing your place. I just had my wife call my attorney. And he's like, get all the information, send it to me, we'll contact your managers and stuff, and the editors you've worked with and validated. It's just some little fucking kid talking shit. It's crazy. You probably ripped his print and came back to your No.
Now, what's happening in the background, he's actually talking, his wife had spoken to him over the phone as he's being recorded in the background. And what's going on there is that he is, she's seeing this website and other posts showing up online. And those posts are basically talking about how he's a fraud and that they know that he's at MegaCon and they're going to go kick his butt and all this stuff. At the same time, this person's videotaping his book And he's talking about what's going on. I don't know why all these people are saying all this stuff about me. And they say he's trying to blow it off as like it's some kid just probably saying some stupid stuff and it doesn't mean anything, so that he doesn't embarrass himself in front of his customer. So that's kind of what's being said in the background while we're looking at the artwork that he has blatantly plagiarized. So, any other thoughts as I try to find his art?
I mean, the story's a bit disheartening for the art community to know that somebody can come in for 15 years, just come in and do something like this. Like I said, I'm glad it's finally being stopped, but we were also reading that it's reached a point, a frenzied point that his family is being dragged into this dispute. He has 2 kids from what we understand, and a wife, obviously. Somehow they're being thrown into him and the wrongdoings that he's done. So with that being said, I feel bad about that.
Okay, fair enough.
His
I on the
wife
other hand, don't.
shouldn't be harassed, because of his wrongdoing. And even the individual that I mentioned before, that was his friend for so long, and was duped by him, urged that everyone, just keep, move on with their lives and not have this person affect, their livelihood or whatever. He said he's not going to have this as his legacy. He's a writer. He has books to write and so forth, and he's just moving on.
Well, I'll give you an example like this Spider-Man here with Batman. Though that's a blatant copy of 2 different artists, and he just basically put them together. And unfortunately, in copyright land, that actually might be legal with the exception of one thing. He doesn't have a license to make money off of these characters, which means unless you've actually drawn for these companies, and that there's a lot of legalities or leniences on the stuff that I'm talking about, and I might not be talking completely knowledgeably about it, but basically he's just never drawn for anybody, and he's making money off these characters that we all know and love.
Wow. Yeah.
So it's just it's a shame.
Hold on, scroll down to his actual artwork.
Well, I'm trying to figure out what his actual artwork actually is.
It's at the bottom of the page.
You'll notice it when you get.
Trust me.
Well, this is the bottom of the page.
Are you in? Okay, are you in portfolio?
Yeah. Now, to kind of point out what you're talking about, he's calling these his paintings, which clearly they're not paintings. They look like he took a photograph and then just put some Photoshop filters on them and claimed them as his own. For someone to be able to draw this dragon, they really have to have a lot of knowledge of drawing capability. And when you see his actual artwork, you can see blatantly that he does not know form, he does not know his anatomy, and he doesn't know how to draw a straight line correctly. So it's a shame. There's a lot of opportunities in the world, particularly for artists, if they know how to do it. I mean, here's one that looks like he might have copied the pose, but he clearly does not have the remainder of the skills, particularly in the hips. There's just a lot of stuff going wrong with this photograph, with this image. And it's a shame because here the anatomy is, for someone to draw this compared to the Batman we first saw, it's you can completely tell it's a completely different artist. It's
right.
not. It's not the same
styles
art.
going on for him to claim that they're his.
Yeah, I mean, a comic book artist would have a distinct style, and he's consistent with it. And here, even Captain America's leg has got issues. And this show is not necessarily designed to be criticizing artwork, because that's not my intention. and but you can tell just looking at these sketches that he is not.
That Batman is a perfect example of his true skills.
Yeah.
Right there. So there's issues, and unfortunately, he's probably getting what he deserves now. So my understanding of what happened in the end is that he left the show a little earlier than anticipated. What's interesting to note also is that he had a bodyguard during the course of the show, so he knows he is doing something wrong, and that's it. I mean, I don't know what else you want to hit upon on this other than it is what it is, and he got away with a number of years of doing it, and it sucks.
Absolutely.
So, Rob Granito is a fraud at Facebook. You can check that out if you want to know about what the other artists are saying about him. And if you're a comic book fan, maybe you'll be able to meet some of the artists and make comments alongside with them.
And once again, despite everything we said, see Limitless if you have not.
So is that our show? Is that at the end?
Or unless there's something you'd like to bring up, Captain.
No, I don't know. I think we're good. We're 46 minutes in, so I think we're boring the hell out of everybody enough. Just kidding. I hope you continue watching, and I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have any comments, ladies and gentlemen, feel free to contact me, Carlos, at Twitter, at Carlos Phoenix, or at the Facebook, now called the Facebook.com/Carlos Phoenix. And do you guys have anything you'd like to share in terms of people contacting you?
Don't call me, I'll call you.
Oh, you loving it.
I'm a private guy. I don't like all that stuff. I'll set that up eventually.
All right. Well, the show is still a show in progress. We're still trying to come up with a good format for you guys to watch. But I do appreciate you watching. This episode has been sponsored by The Art of Tees. The Art of Tees is a custom t-shirt printing company. They also do promotional items and more. Check them out at www.theartoftees.com. And that concludes our episode. Thank you very much, Matt and Chad.
Thanks a lot.
And they are out in Long Island. I am here in Atlanta. And if you ever just want to be part of the show, let me know, and I appreciate you guys watching. Thank you once again. Have a good night.